Welcome to Weird Scotland, the podcast where we uncover the hidden and sometimes bizarre tales from Scotland's past. I'm your host, Colin MacDonald, and today we're diving into a fascinating episode from the world of 19th century banking, the Great Kilmarnock forged note scandal. This tale takes us to the industrial heart of Glasgow and the quieter town of Kilmarnock, where a forged note would unravel the trust and stability of an entire banking system. It's a story of deception, ingenious forgeries, and how one small piece of paper sent shockwaves through Scotland's financial world. Let's start with a little background on the Ship Bank, the institution at the centre of the scandal. In the bustling streets of Glasgow during the rapid industrial boom of the 1800s, the Ship Bank stood as one of the oldest and most respected financial institutions in the region. The bank's notes were a simple affair, featuring little more than a modest image of a ship, a reflection of the bank's name. These notes were far from the intricately designed bills we use today, and in an age before modern security features like watermarks and holograms, they were susceptible to counterfeiters. And counterfeiters, it turns out, were quick to seize on this vulnerability. The Kilmarnock forged note scandal began innocuously enough. A £10 Ship Bank note was presented for redemption in Glasgow. When the note was examined, the agent at the bank immediately grew suspicious. The design was rough, far too rudimentary for a genuine note, and a quick inspection raised concerns about its authenticity. But the man presenting it insisted it was real. Under pressure, the agent investigated further, discovering something far more disturbing. The note had been signed by two reputable individuals respected in their community, but upon closer inspection, it was clear their signatures had been forged. The two men initially insisted the note was legitimate, but eventually they admitted that their names had been used without their consent. This revelation set off a chain of events that would reveal a sophisticated operation of forgery in Glasgow. The forger behind the Kilmarnock notes was no amateur. In fact, his counterfeits were so convincing that even experienced bank employees had trouble distinguishing them from the real thing. The Ship Bank had been duped, and the agent who had initially rejected the note found himself under suspicion of mishandling the case. Through further investigation, authorities identified a notorious forger operating in Glasgow. This man had been producing counterfeit Ship Bank notes for months, perhaps even years, passing them off as legitimate currency across the region. His forgeries were so skillful that they even fooled many of the bank's most seasoned employees. The forger's operation was extensive, and the impact of his crimes was deeply felt. As the investigation deepened, it became clear that the forgery ring had flooded the market with counterfeit Ship Bank notes. The scandal sent shockwaves through the city, and the once proud Ship Bank found itself in a precarious position. The trust that people had in the bank's currency was shattered, and for years afterward, forgeries of these notes continued to circulate. But the authorities acted quickly, and the forger was eventually apprehended. He was tried and, after a swift trial, executed for his crimes. His capture marked the end of his forgery ring, but the damage had already been done. The scandal had a profound effect on the banking world. In response to the crisis, the Ship Bank and other institutions across Scotland began to overhaul their security measures. No longer could banks afford to rely on the simplicity of their notes. New, more intricate designs were introduced, notes featuring detailed engravings, watermarks, and eventually serial numbers. It was clear that if banks were to maintain the public's trust, they needed to ensure that counterfeiters could no longer exploit these vulnerabilities. The legacy of the Kilmarnock forged note scandal extends far beyond its immediate impact. Not only did the event highlight the weaknesses in the 19th century banking system, but it also illustrated the ingenuity and determination of criminals during this time. The scandal was a wake-up call for banks, showing them how easily the trust of an entire financial system could be undone with a simple yet expertly forged note. And while the forgers may have been caught, the influence of their crimes continued to echo through Glasgow's financial circles for years to come. The Kilmarnock forged note scandal would go down as one of the most notorious forgeries in Scottish history, and a cautionary tale for banks and businesses everywhere. It also speaks to a larger truth about 19th century Scotland: the rapid pace of industrialisation, the growth of urban centres, and the shifting social structures all contributed to a world where old systems of trust and authority could no longer be relied upon as they once were. As Scotland moved further into the modern age, the Kilmarnock scandal showed just how fragile those systems could be. So, next time you hold a banknote in your hand, remember the tale of the Kilmarnock forged note. The intricate designs and security features we take for granted today were hard-earned lessons from a time when trust was far too easily broken. Thanks for joining me today on Weird Scotland. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, and tune in next time as we uncover more strange and unexpected stories from Scotland's past. Until then, keep your wits about you, and remember, the past is never as straightforward as it seems. Slán Tamach.